Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Elseworlds Exchange. I am Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
We're going to be doing a special episode. Normally, this is the B team.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like B as in like to delineate what level of quality we're getting.
That is it.
But normally, what we're trying to do is establish kind of like a break for the usual hosts, which is myself and Joel. And we just didn't have a co-host. Ben was supposed to be here, but isn't, so it's me. But
Ben's all at a barbecue.
Or whatever, I don't know. He's going to the city for some reason.
Well, now it's a barbecue.
Yeah. He said he was going to have barbecue. I don't know if they're going to actually barbecue anything.
Oh.
Yeah. But as such, we figured, I'll jump in and we'll do the episode, and then I'll go back and cut back issues and then get it up tonight. Awesome. Because normally I cut it like a few days earlier, but because we were
doing
I don't know if you've noticed the background's a little different. We've been working on The Office for the last 2 days, and as such, everything has just been chaotic.
Yeah,
so
there's things everywhere. It's not good.
No.
And while he's doing that, I'm going to be over on Eligible Monsters Twitch playing games with Zodical Candy and maybe Comicstorian and Comics Explained.
That's right. So if you like watching people play video games, you should watch this person play video games with some people who like comic books as well, and if you throw your questions out there, I'm sure they'll answer them. So it's a lot of fun. Today, the reason why we're choosing superhero movie costumes is because of the recent Looper scoop of the Spider-Man Homecoming, what is his name? Tom Holland Spider-Man costume, and just how goddamn great it looks.
Yeah.
It's funny, I saw a couple people complaining about how, there's some like redundancies or some extra stuff. The fact is, what I didn't realize about the Civil War Spider-Man suit is that it was almost entirely CG.
Really?
From like the neck down, it was entirely CG.
Okay.
And like even the mask to some degree was CG, and so as such they had to like, when they actually were like, okay, we have to shoot a freaking movie with this dude, they had to approximate the CG suit with real fabric and see if they could make it work.
Okay.
I think they made it work better. Obviously I'm a proponent of practical effects versus CG. I like CG as an enhancement, as a, like frog DNA in a dino sequence. You fill in the holes with the code. But as far as, the Civil War suit goes, I dug it, although I heard the criticism and I got it. This suit assuages any complaints or criticism that I had about the Spider-Man suit. We're not going to spend the whole episode talking about it.
No.
It was a great conversation starter, because when we were talking about what the conversation was going to be on Elseworlds, you were like, how about costumes?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, because those are really important, and depending on whether they are successful or not, they can ruin a movie despite all the evidence.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter if you have a great director, great writing, great cinematography. If that suit sucks, then the whole movie falls apart.
Yes.
Which is kind of funny because, with movies, any one thing can really disrupt the whole thing despite the fact there's so many working parts. If you're making a movie and one actor is the worst, then no one is going to have any patience for your movie.
No, it's true.
And for a lot of people, especially fans of superhero movies and superheroes in general, the costume is kind of what makes it work. And if you can't get that working, then there's probably a lot more wrong with it behind the scenes. That's how I feel. I mean,
I agree.
Especially when you go back, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the costumes that we've seen over the last, 20 years worth of comic book movies. We're not going to do them all, by the way.
No.
That way we can do a sequel of this
exactly.
episode. But also, we can then encourage you guys in the comment section down below, what's the best and worst superhero movie costumes of all time, in your opinion? So, that'll get you guys started. But in the meantime, one that stands out for me just right off the bat that I was just thinking about randomly because of the Marvel movie landscape is actually The Rocketeer. And it's a movie that you have some passing familiarity with.
I do.
Because when you were a child...
When I was a child, way too young to be seeing that movie. I saw that movie in the theaters.
Yes.
I think it was kind of that thing where they were like, it won't make enough, she won't remember it.
Yeah.
But she did remember it.
No, when I was a kid, I saw a trailer for The Rocketeer and I went, fuck that. I had no interest whatsoever.
Yeah.
I didn't, because it was a period piece. It was set in World War II. I was like, it's old.
Yeah.
He's wearing slacks, and I'm not interested. Of course, revisiting The Rocketeer, it is So good.
You know what? I haven't seen it since.
I've seen snippets of it over a vast career. We were talking about on Twitter. Somebody said as a result of our constant Langoliers references, they went out and watched the Langoliers, and they're like, "It is fucking awful.
It is. It's a terrible movie."
And I said to him, like, "You don't go and watch the Langoliers. You watch parts of the Langoliers when it's on television over a period of 20 years, and you eventually have seen all of the Langoliers.
Right.
That's how you make the reference.
Yes.
With me, the Rocketeer, I've seen the Rocketeer on TV so many damn times in so many different places that I feel like I've seen the Rocketeer.
It's fine. I just never caught it again.
Incidentally, the director of the Rocketeer is the same guy who did the first Captain America movie.
Okay.
Which is why it was like, oh shit, that makes perfect sense.
Totally, yeah.
I'm also kind of sad that we're not going to see, that we didn't see Tim Dalton shoehorned somehow into the Captain America franchise.
I don't even remember that he was in there.
He's the bad guy.
Seriously, there's like one scene that I remember from that movie, and that is it.
What is it?
It's the one where the guy's folded in half.
That's awesome.
That's it. That's what, like...
But you don't really show a young girl
little
that
child
in the theater.
Me was like... And that just stayed in there. Like, no, nobody even did that. No one thought about that? Yeah.
Well, that's because back then, like, PG movies were... a lot more lenient on the swearing, on the violence, on everything.
Yeah, no, I was not. I was too little for that.
But yeah,
way too little.
But that said, the Rocketeer costume works.
Oh yeah,
I love it, and it's funny when I first saw it, I was like, "What a rip-off Iron Man bullshit costume." Now I'm like, "No, this is really cool."
No, it's a great costume.
An unironic, like I don't really like steampunk, but I still really love this suit kind of way.
No, it's a great... It encapsulates the time it comes from perfectly.
Yeah.
Like, what would you make a superhero costume out of in that time?
In the 40s.
It's that.
With the available technology.
Yeah.
While also still being really cool today. If a dude were rocketeering in the 2016s, I'd be like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That guy looks great. But he's probably burning his legs off. Have you never thought about jetpacks?
Don't think about it.
They shoot fuel as hot as possible with enough propulsion to break gravity.
Yeah.
Like Boba Fett's jetpack, he would blast his own legs off.
Yeah, well, he's got space technology though.
Yeah,
that's where you.
They run cold.
It's like it's the Bond jetpack that doesn't really work at all.
What's a superhero costume that stands out for you, good or bad, that made you kind of think about this topic?
Okay, honestly, I mean, like it's the whole talk of like all the leaks that have been coming out that really made me think of this topic. But the other night we caught some of Watchmen.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, like Watchmen the movie, don't like Watchmen the movie, whatever. The costuming.
Pretty much all of them are great.
They did a great job for them, and like when I was really thinking about it, came out of Rorschach.
Yes, Rorschach works, and in fact, despite the fact that Warner's is kind of like ashamed of Watchmen in the movie sense because it didn't really perform as well as they wanted it to, despite the fact that it follows all the Deadpool formulas of it being a true to the characters, hard R comic book superhero movie released at a time when you don't release those kinds of movies. They kind of want to distance themselves from it. But when Benny the Comic Historian went to the DC offices, I saw that is one of the costumes that they have up in the office.
The Rorschach one?
It's the Rorschach
That's awesome.
Suit.
It's perfect.
Because it just works.
It does. And part of what I want to talk about inevitably as we go forward when we talk about... we're going to definitely talk about Batman. We're going to talk about Spider-Man. Yeah. But for me, what makes it so easy for them is that they had one source.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no interpretation.
No, you've got one source. Here it is. Maybe they changed some things here and there.
Especially Silk Spectre, but yeah.
Right, but for the most part, when you take a character like Rorschach, you're like, well, this is the costume. Right here, you just make that happen.
Yeah, with Ozymandias, you're like, okay, I can tone down this, I can shift this.
Exactly.
And especially if I'm trying to like elicit a different tone, like you can tell that with the Ozymandias costume, they wanted to evoke that feeling of the Joel Schumacher Batman look.
Yes.
And that works so successfully, even though it's totally not the Ozymandias costume from the comic. With Rorschach, it's like the dude is wearing a noir trench coat and hat, and the mask, I guess, moves.
Yes.
That's really all I have to go on. I can't interpret that in any other way.
Right.
We can't give him armor or like a jetpack.
Exactly. But when you have a character like Batman and Spider-Man who've had so many costumes over the years, you either have to make something entirely different and new, or you have to pay homage to one of them, or you start like trying to quilt something together out of all these other costumes. And I think that's where you're gonna live or die. Right there is that choice.
Well, apropos that, I was just thinking about the Sony PS4 Spider-Man video game and how they were like, let's take all of the Sony Spider-Man costumes that we've owned, which is the Tobey suit, the Garfield suit, and even to some extent the Civil War suit, and put them all together into one suit. Because it's basically what it is. It's a hodgepodge of Sony's Spider-Man.
Right.
There's no, like, Spider-Man 2099 or, Spider-Man whatever, noir. They're just cramming in all the Sony suits because that Spider is the Andrew Garfield, like, long-legged first suit Spider. And they were like, and you know what? Make it white and make it totally different.
Yep.
Like, let's make a famous bowl of Spider-Man suits that we own. And that was their way of kind of, like, paying homage to what came before, as long as it was in their wheelhouse, but also making it uniquely theirs. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, if there was literally only one, like, Ditko costume, people would be like, well, I guess that's it. I mean, it's red, it's blue, he's got eyes. Like, I can't change it. And with Rorschach, it just works.
It does. And I know I saw a comment earlier that said, like, to be fair, that, like, that Rorschach's costume is so simple and how easy that is. And yet, even with costumes that are seemingly very easy to produce, it's the fact that someone came in and said, no, we're not going to change that. And that is surprisingly, I think, more difficult than you'd imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you're dealing with people who are creative, especially in the film industry, people who are doing costume designs, that and the like, they want to put their mark on it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So for them to just take something and then give it to you exactly as it was,
it's a lot of restraint.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly what it is. So it's like, it seems so simple.
Yeah.
And yet, like, it's so difficult for them to give you.
It's weird when they don't just do the damn thing that's on the page that works so successfully for decades.
And I think one of the greatest examples of that is the Green Lantern suit.
Oh, I have another example, but we'll get into the Green Lantern suit now.
Yeah.
That suit is so terrible and in every which way. And I remember when they announced it, they proudly were like, it's all CG.
Yeah.
You never see the suit on set. We're going to create it in post. It's going to be rippling with energy. It's like, it's crackling.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost not even, like, able to contain all the energy within him. Mm-hmm. Like, that's not, it's cloth.
Yeah.
He has white gloves. He's got a cool suit. He's got a logo on the front. And then when he showed up, you're like, no.
Yeah.
There were some moments where I'm like, that looks interesting.
Right?
I was intrigued by, like, the texture of how the suit might have felt if it weren't for the fact that it isn't real and it looks stupid.
But, like, how easy would it be to have just hired a costume designer to be like, could you just make this?
Yeah, can you do this? And it's like, I get that you can't do, like, the classic Hal Jordan suit and, like, put white in his hair and everything.
Like,
but, like, don't do that. Like, that is just a total hubris moment where they're like, it's Warner Brothers movie Green Lantern suit.
Exactly.
Boom. And what's amazing is some of those suits actually look better on the other characters. Like, it looked like Toma Ray's costume looked fine. Kilowog looked okay. Like,
right, well, they got
but they were all fake.
Yeah, they're fake and they're aliens, you know what I mean? Like, so you kind of buy it a little bit more, but it's like, why?
Yeah, why would you choose to do that? For me, when it comes to, like, let's make a suit and let's do exactly what's on the page, and it just doesn't work successfully and you need to change it in some way, is the Phantom.
Oh, my God.
Billy Zane's The Phantom. If you haven't watched The Phantom, don't. But just Google it and take a look at that suit. It says Slam Evil usually on every poster, but that is legitimately what the Phantom looks like.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work.
No.
And, like, I don't know. I never really liked The Phantom, but I remember The Phantom and movies like it during the time from which it came did their part to help prolong the drought of superhero movies.
Yeah.
Because people were like, look, it didn't work. See, the Phantom failed. And it was like, there were a lot of failures here.
Yeah.
None of them were the character of the Phantom.
No, this has nothing to do with the character or the comics that they came from or the fact that it was a comic book movie. It has to do with the people involved didn't respect the material.
Nope, they
made choices.
Well, he's a clown. Obviously, he's dressed in purple. He has a silly mask on. Let's make him look like an asshole. Like, that was, I mean, like, obviously that wasn't a decision because they're trying to make money, but, you can tell when a studio has no or little respect for the franchise and they're just like, just do whatever the costume designer says.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we're huge fans of the show called Face Off on Sci-Fi.
Yes.
If you've never watched, it's basically Project Runway, but with special effects makeup.
Yeah.
And it's super cool. It's really awesome. We love that show. We watched all 10 or 11 seasons of it. And there's a judge on the show called V. Neal.
Yes.
And V. Neal has worked on all the Batman movies and all the Spider-Man movies.
Yep, and Beetlejuice and all these other things.
She's won Oscars for her work, but for me, as a comic book fan, she's the enemy. Because she has always messed up the real suit. She's never done it right.
Yeah.
And she has only ever been like, well, all right, if he exists in this world, though, how would it... And I'm like, nothing that you made exists in this world or would work. And it just made me so frustrated. Okay. But I like her personality, and I like the fact she worked on Beetlejuice and all these other Tim Burton movies. Right. And the fact is, like, the woman knows what she's doing.
Right, but it's another example of someone being creative and they can't help themselves.
That's right. That's someone who's just, I am creative, I do this right, and...
I need to interpret it through my vision and what I think works for, like, Tim Burton.
Right, she's like, I know that comic books are, like, respected, but I also know that we're not making a comic book right now.
Right, but on that same show, there's another judge who worked on another superhero movie.
Yes, Glenn Hetrick, also known as a werewolf, used to own, or might possibly still own, an effects makeup studio called Optic Nerve.
Yeah.
An Optic Nerve special effects makeup studio worked on the 1994 Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie.
Right.
Glenn Hetrick, I think, worked on that Thing suit. Actually, rather, Optic Nerve special effects makeup did the Thing suit.
Yes.
And it's amazing to think of that they were like, hey, we're just going to make... I think they had $1 million because if you're not familiar with the 1994 Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie, YouTube it because the whole movie's up there and no one wants to say they own it, so they'll never copyright strike it. But the Fantastic Four movie was made so that the company that owned the rights to the Fantastic Four movies would be allowed to make another Fantastic Four movie. And in fact, I was just reading an old wizard, and they announced that they got Chris Columbus to direct the Fantastic Four movie that they were going to make after the failure, or rather the non-release of the 1994 Roger Corman movie.
Right, okay.
And people were like, and we all know the Roger Corman movie was not supposed to be made, and it's not supposed to be released. They were just doing it to keep the rights, and then they did, and now they've called Chris Columbus, who directed, I believe, Mrs. Doubtfire, and he's going to do the Fantastic Four movie for this bullshit studio that needed to waste $1 million to make this crappy movie. That said, that Thing suit is almost pretty good.
Sure.
If a cosplayer did it, they would be lauded as a amazing professional.
Well, yeah, but this is another example of he stuck to what was in the book.
That looks kind of like the Thing, only like if the Thing were 5 feet tall.
Right, okay. Actor choice aside.
Well, you just choose a bigger dude and put him in a big suit.
That's what they needed to do.
But the fact is, if it was like a 7 foot tall dude in a suit that was made of the material that the Thing suit was made of, he would suffocate and die.
Oh yeah.
But
the actual suits themselves, like the actual Fantastic
the Fantastic Four uniforms, yeah.
It's just
the comic.
It's just the comic.
Those are, and by the way, if you kind of like that, for me, that movie captured my imagination as a child because I would hear about it and I'd see occasional stills of like Doctor Doom. And that is the best-looking Doctor Doom on film I've ever seen. Still, is the 1994 Roger Corman one.
Right.
Because he's goddamn Doctor Doom. He's got a metal suit, metal mask, green cloak, yellow buttons. That's it. And he even has, like, features, like when he opens his glove, like, little daggers shoot out of the fingertips.
Oh.
He doesn't use them or anything. Yeah, but, like, he threatens people with them. But it's amazing how great looking that suit is. What's hilarious, by the way, about that, if you ever watch Fantastic Four, is they didn't ADR Doctor Doom. So it's just the dude it's just the actor behind. So it's like, oh, okay, Reed Richards, I'm gonna get it. So like,
well, that's very realistic.
It's very realistic. It's kind of amazing. But that's a funny moment where it's like, look, this is what John Byrne's Fantastic Four looks like. Here you go, and it doesn't quite work.
Right.
But yeah, as far as things that were successful, we were just talking about this the other day, the 1989 Batman suit.
Yeah.
I never had a problem with it when I was growing up. Over time, people were like, he couldn't turn his head, right? And I'm like, as a child, I was just happy to see Batman on the screen. Right.
Well, it's like also like, hey, there actually isn't a Bat vigilante. So it's like...
Right, so shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
But it's funny because it's a perfect blend of like doing the comic, but also putting your own spin on it. Because I was just talking about the Bat logo, and on the 1989 Batman logo, it's almost perfect. But then they added this extra little thing at the bottom of the Bat symbol, where it's like it's just supposed to come down to a point, but it comes down to a point, and then it comes down to another point. And you're like, what the fuck was that? And it was clearly just the costume designer, who I think might have been V. Neil.
It might have been.
Who was just like, V. Neil.
Yeah. Just a little like,
this is not your Batman.
But I can make it cooler.
Right.
I can improve on a bat.
Or even just like, this is not your Batman.
Yeah.
This is our Batman. Mm-hmm. But it's cool because as they go, they kept like refining and changing the suits. And, in the Batman Returns movie, they got rid of that shit.
Oh, really?
So it's just the logo.
Okay.
I think because it was distractingly weird, because they used, for all the promotional materials for Batman 89, they just used the Bat logo. Like, from the comics. Mm-hmm. Just here. And you're like, holy shit.
Right.
But then you see the movie and he's got this weird different logo. Mm-hmm. And you're like, what the hell was that? With Batman Returns, they're like, just do the logo.
Right.
Don't be weird. Don't be clever. But they kept changing it, and not for the better. But what's ironic about the bat suits changing over time was that around the same decade, they were doing the same thing to Batman, where it's like, Azrael took over, and then he got these gold, and then he got this terrible suit, and then it kept getting bigger and redder and dumber, and you're like, what's happening? Everywhere I look, every time I look for Batman, I'm seeing a clown in a bat suit.
Yep.
But, some people say that, like, the Dark Knight movie, not Dark Knight Returns or whatever, but like the Dark Knight, like the second installment with Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
That one is like the best Batsuit. I think the best Batsuit is Batman versus Superman. Like
what?
Both of them.
Really?
I think both suits you see in Batman vs Superman are the best Batman movie suits I've ever seen.
You know what's funny? When I think about it, I only think of the armor.
Yeah, I was just thinking of the armor.
But
and then I'm like, wait, no, but the real suit underneath is really cool too.
And the reason I know I like the armor is because it makes me think of something else I like. So then I'm like, is that good?
Well, that's the thing.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's another example, by the way. That armor in BVS is just the Dark Knight Returns armor.
It is.
And what I didn't even realize was it's all CG. The cape, everything.
Okay, but they're getting good at that.
They're getting better. Well, because it's like, it didn't hurt that it was made of metal, and they can do metal perfectly.
Yes.
Which I'll segue into another suit that's perfect.
Okay.
Iron Man's suit, and every iteration thereof. Yeah.
The Iron Man suit, like, they did a phenomenal job. I mean, like, they made choices in the best ways. Yeah. Where, like, they kept the colors. They were like, here are the colors. It's the colors as bright as they should be, as bold as they should be.
They didn't mute them up.
Here they are.
Yeah. Red and gold.
We're going to change some of the streamlining of the suit here and there, but we're still going to call back to the actual comic.
Oh my god, like his first suit, the Mark I suit, is just the one from the 60s.
Oh, yeah.
The end.
Yeah,
it's a little cooler because it's got flamethrowers. Right. But like you got that, then you get like the Mark II, and that's like basically the Civil War version of the suit.
Yeah.
And then it just gets better and better. I mean, like, even I got a suit. I'm a huge fan of like the 80s one where it's red and silver. Mm-hmm. And in Iron Man 2, which everyone hates, but I and Ethan really enjoy, he puts on a suit that's red and silver. It doesn't have like the shoulder blades, which I really like, but it was enough for me. I'm like, wow, you even did my suit.
Right. I hear. And like even the fact that they would inevitably do a Hulkbuster version, of the like.
Oh, the Hulkbuster.
But they're saying, but they just did it.
Yeah, they're like, here you go. They didn't make a big deal of it.
It's still the same colors. It's still bright. It's still there.
Yeah.
They're just like, that's what you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's funny because the Hulkbuster suit, we only really saw in the comics like maybe twice, like ever. And
but whoever is in charge of the Iron Man costuming gets it.
They get it. They're like, there are thousands of pages of different uniforms that are all really cool.
Yep.
Even the lame ones we could probably tweak and make really cool.
Yeah.
Like some of them are just like that's the thing that every comic book fan is hoping for with movies is that like I want you to take the thing that's on the page and I want you to make it really cool. I want you to make the thing that I'm like cuz I'm seeing it and you know with comics, there's no motion, so the action between the panels is in your imagination.
Yeah, you have to fill it in.
You're filling in the blanks with your mind and your imagination, and so as such, even Spawn, who has an impractical suit that would never work in any way, looks great, and because of the design of the suit, there's so much flow and so much motion just within the design itself, not just with the fact that he's always jumping or crawling or crouching or crying. And you wanted to see it in motion so that you can see, like, I want you to make my visions come true.
Yeah.
And with like 1997 Spawn, like they failed on a spectacular level, that Spawn suit. And it's funny because it was building on what I just said about like motion. When it was static images, when they were like, here, look at what we're doing with 1997 Spawn, it looks great.
Right.
But except they started to do that trend where, because with Batman suits, all the way to like Batman and Robin, it's a matte suit.
Yeah.
There's like shit on it.
Yeah.
But there's no like patterns.
Right.
And then with Spawn, I remember that was like the first superhero suit that I ever saw where they did this thing where if it was a black suit or a blue suit or anything, they got to fill in all the negative space with like patterns and shit. Put
stuff on it.
Because then I noticed it again with Spider-Man where we got close and I'm like, what are with all these little cute or these little like diamonds? Like, why do we need to fill in the space? And that's part of the reason why I think I love the Tom Holland Spider-Man Homecoming suit so much, because they don't fill in the fucking space.
Right. Before we leave Spawn, though...
But yeah, we want to get into Spawn.
Yeah. There was a bigger problem.
Oh, the cape?
Yeah.
Oh, the fact that, when he didn't have the cape, he looked stupid. He looked like Venom.
Right, but then when he had the cape, it was like,
it looked
oh my
real
God.
bad. Well, because I remember when they announced it, they were like, the cape's going to be CG. And back then, it was like 1997, so we'd seen Jurassic Park and Independence Day, and we were like, great.
Yeah, cool. Keep doing that.
Okay, we're in. And then it came out and we're like, oh, that looks real bad.
Yeah, that was such a mistake.
So like everything about, well, because like it's almost like you the design of Spawn, you can't do it. You can't make it real.
No, and like
that thing he has up here.
Yeah,
like it doesn't work.
The problem with Spawn, and I don't want to make this into a Spawn podcast, but like Spawn, the idea of having a movie is like a double-edged sword, because you needed to do it at that time when Spawn was still popular.
Yeah, when people give a shit. Yeah.
But the technology wasn't where it needed to be to make it actually work.
Exactly. Yeah, like we could probably do a bitchin'-looking Spawn movie now, but who cares? Yeah, you'd have to like cross them over with somebody important.
Yeah.
But that said, by the way, the Violator looked really good. Both Clown, although even then they had to change it. Like,
they did.
The Clown has hair here and nothing here, and then they're like, let's put a little dollop of hair right here. And I'm like, you've just changed the entire suit.
Yeah.
But Clown looked great, and the Violator, when he wasn't like moving, looked really good. Like the CG Violator, I was
right, but unless he moved, which he needed to move.
Yeah, and Malbolgia looked like garbage.
Yeah.
That was just like, oh look, a video game cutscene from 1997.
Yes.
What are you doing? But anyway. So Spawn doesn't work. That was a colossal failure.
No.
But Iron Man did. Spider-Man. It's funny. I remember when they announced Spider-Man 2002. They're like, here he is. I was just so happy that they were making a Spider-Man movie that I'm like, everything about it is great. I don't care that like the eyes are weird or that like they're silver for some reason or that there's those weird diamonds in between the spaces. Like, and the fact that everything is raised.
Right, and by the way, I think that the reason
the fill-ins,
I think they do that to make you, as a viewer who maybe isn't a comic book fan, believe that the fabric can take the punches.
Really?
Because I thought
it was just CG. I thought it was like they need to make it look like.
No, I always like, and I have no evidence of this. I always assumed it was to make people believe this was like a new type of fabric, or it had more strength than like just a typical spandex or something like that. So it could actually be doing all the crazy things and like being a part of like wacky adventures. And
well, and being able to like take a pumpkin bomb without dying.
Yeah, like I assume it's some sort of like psychological kind of thing.
Yeah. It's funny. They never really took any risks with that spider suit, like in the Raimi movies. They're like the first one. They're like, it works. Moving on.
Yeah.
And then they made, and that's the funny thing. There's never been, with the exception of the Spider-Man 1990s cartoon show, a Venom suit that I've liked, that I've ever seen.
Okay.
They always insist on doing some weird thing with the symbiote, where it's like the
right.
symbiote is black. It's black on white.
Yeah,
it's black and white. He melts in the shadows. The only things you see are his eyes and the logo. That's it.
Right.
And for some reason, every time you see him in any media that isn't a comic book, they like, even in the comics, they're like, let's give him some blue highlights, like to catch the light so that we can see more of the suit or whatever. I don't know. But in every cartoon and movie that I've ever seen with the Venom suit or with a black version of a suit, they like put details in there.
Well, yeah.
But like, that's not what makes it so successful. The reason why the suit is successful is because it melts into the shadows and because it's just a black suit.
Right.
And I don't know why, but they never get it right. Even in the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon, which I love, they did the thing that they did in the third Spider-Man movie where it's just the red suit, but it's black. It has the webbing in it. And it's like, don't put patterns in there. They get lost in the suit. It's almost like, why do we even make it black? Because we won't be able to see all these patterns. Like, yeah, you can't see the patterns because it's black. I don't know.
They want. I think that's a designer choice. I think that's, when they're making it CG, I think it's so that they have something to do. And And I think part of it is, like, they struggle with the idea that there's a person in the suit, but the suit itself is also a character. So then, like, they're trying to make it its own thing, and that's only if they're thinking about it like that. But the fact is, like, Venom's an interesting, choice because of the fact that it's the suit itself is a character.
Right.
Like,
it's an alien.
It's not just the guy in there.
But that's why it shouldn't have, like, the exact details of the Spider-Man costume. It should be, it should just be black.
Right, but if they're doing that, then maybe they're making a statement.
Yeah, well, the statement sucks.
Fair enough.
But yeah, Spawn doesn't work. Oh, man. You know what's funny? This is a source of controversy for a lot of people. The Daredevil suits. Both Ben Affleck's and Charlie Cox's.
Okay.
I never really had a huge problem with the Ben Affleck suit when it first happened. When it first came out, I'm like, cool, Daredevil, I'm in.
Right.
And the more you looked at it, the more I'm like, this sucks. It's just a biker outfit.
Yeah.
But, like, because he got the logo, like, over his lapel. It's like, I don't know. It didn't work for me. I never, especially when it was in CG, when he's, like, moving around, it looks awful.
Right.
But, like, then Netflix came out, and they're like, oh, Marvel knows what they're doing, and they make the Frank Miller suit, which was really cool in as much as they just did the Frank Miller suit.
Yeah.
It's just the black ninja costume.
Right.
Boom. And by the way, that's an example of it's black. He doesn't have fucking patterns.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew we were going right back to those
patterns. It's black fabric, and he's just, there you go. But I think it looked really cool. But I'm like, when is he going to put on a fucking red Daredevil suit? And then he got one, and I liked it. I was like, that's cool. It was, I think it was in one episode. Mm-hmm. And then by season 2, they're like, we revamped it. And I like that too.
Yeah.
And I got no complaints about it. And I don't know why, because for me, season 2 is like a blend of his, like, 90s armor, but mostly red. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think it's cool.
I do too, but I could understand that people wouldn't be a fan of it because it's definitely
it's not the costume.
No,
and it's not even like an homage costume. It's not like he ever moved from the Frank Miller one to, like, the original, like, like yellow and red one.
Absolutely. So I definitely can understand people having a problem with it, but I think for you and for me, for maybe other fans who do like it, it does what we were talking about earlier, where it takes the thing that's on the page and it makes it as cool as you want
that's
it to
the thing.
be.
Like, I think it looks really cool,
right.
and also, like, they made it so that it needed to be armor because he got his ass kicked every day or every episode in that cloth Frank Miller suit.
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Speaking of cloth suits that have no protection, the Kick-Ass suits have always been really successful.
Yes. Well, that's another example of, here's the page.
Just do the thing.
Just give it to me.
Yeah, and it's funny because it could be because of the subject matter. Like, Kick-Ass is a superhero in the real world.
Yeah.
But
it's also another example of there's only one source.
That's true. There's no other, like, there's no real examples of Kick-Asses.
Yeah. Like, it's easy to be like, this is the arc, this is what we're doing, this is where I want you to start, we're doing at the beginning, so bam, here you go.
But even with Big Daddy, they made a change. They changed the Big Daddy suit to be modeled more after a Batman suit.
Right.
After a movie Batman.
And that's a clear...
And that's a clear homage.
Creative choice,
that's a creative choice, and successful. It worked.
Yeah.
Nobody is like, oh, that's not the Big Daddy I know.
Right, but for me, part of the reason that works is the gentleman in the suit.
Oh, it's fucking... I think the reason why it's so successful is because Hit Girl works. Because Hit Girl is pretty much the page.
Yeah.
And it looks so good.
Yep, absolutely.
And, Chloe, whatever her name is, Mortens, rocks a Hit Girl
she does.
Character. She just nails it.
Yes, she does.
And that's another thing. If the actor in the suit can sell it, you might be more inclined to make more forgiveness for it.
Yeah.
I hated the Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit. I hated it. I'm like, this is just not it. The spider was too long. It's all these weird, like, patterns again. The eyes were gold for no reason. But I loved Andrew Garfield's version of Spider-Man, so I'm like, okay, I'm fine.
So you just let it slide.
I let it slide, and then Amazing Spider-Man 2, it was the closest thing to a real Spider-Man suit I've ever seen.
Right. Until now.
Until now. And thank God, by the way, there was no weird, like, period where we had to get over it. Like, Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out. Everyone's like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like that. I'm looking for reasons to bitch. I think it was the most successful. The eyes were the most Spider-Man I've ever seen. The suit works. They shrunk the spider down. You know, they really made it work. They still gave him that weird, like, angular spider on the back.
Yeah.
Make it more creepy and spidery.
I guess, yeah.
I don't know why. I love the fat, stupid, blocky spider on the back, which they brought back for the Tom Holland costume. Which brought back from nowhere. Like, they've only been in the comics. I've never seen that fat, blocky Spider-Man suit or spider in anything.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
They're like, this is different. Totally different.
Totally different. It's the comic. You're welcome.
Let's remember it's completely different.
Yeah. Speaking of Nicolas Cage.
Okay. Are we about to talk about something that's like the most guilty pleasure thing for me ever?
Yes.
Okay. Guys, I, for no reason at all, really enjoyed Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider. In the second movie, when it's scratching at the door, I was like, yeah, tell me more, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, he is compelling.
But he totally looks like Ghost Rider.
The second one is the best.
Yeah.
Like, I want a Netflix series where he just looks like that.
Right?
Because, like...
The fire was great. The smoke was great.
They fixed it.
The jacket was great. The whole thing was great.
When he's close and, like, his leather's bubbling from heat. And, like, it's a gas fire, so it's always, like, black.
Yes.
It's almost like it's barely able to ignite. I thought that was just...
Yeah.
And it's, like... And even the skull itself is all singed and shit. But even when we saw the first Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider, like, that's just the... Like, people were like, this sucks. I'm like, that's just the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider costume. Like, that is legitimately just the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider costume. That bike sucks. Like, it really sucks.
Yeah, but that's where they decided to take their liberties.
Yeah.
They were like, we gotta do something.
But we gotta make the bike freaking stupid. Make it look like a Biker Mice from Mars thing. Like, that it legitimately looks like it's just a stupid toy.
Okay, but on a tangent, though, for a second.
Oh, yeah.
Freaking, what's his face?
Nicolas Cage?
No, cowboy. Like the ultimate cowboy.
Oh.
What the hell's his name?
Clint Eastwood?
No, for me, in that movie, in Ghost Rider, on the horse.
Oh, Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott! Thank you! I can never remember his name.
Yes.
Sam Elliott, his version.
Yes.
Man, that was the movie I wanted to
That's
see.
the movie. That was a mistake for them. They're like, hey, look at this way cooler Ghost Rider.
Look at his way cooler ride.
Yeah, look at his really badass fucking horse.
Yes.
Like... It's funny, they teased at it a little bit. They do that, and you're like, I want that.
Yeah.
I want that movie. And then they go to the second movie where anything he rides turns into a Ghost Rider suit. I'm like, he never gets on a horse, but he does get on, like, a stupid crane.
Right, but, all right. But still, the costume for Ghost Rider, regardless of how you feel about the movie, it really does work.
That's a problem, where it's like, can you just do that, but with, like,
but could
talented
you do it
people?
good? Yeah.
I don't know. That's the problem also, is that, like, money is spent.
Yes.
Like, Ghost Rider needs to be CG. You can't cheap that. You can't be like, oh, we'll do the Frank Miller version of Ghost Rider where he's not a fucking skeleton on fire all the time.
Right.
Like, and the problem is nobody wants to see Johnny Blaze or Danny Ketch without a skull on fire. Like, I don't want to watch a Ghost Rider movie.
I don't either. Like, I definitely want to see that.
I don't want to watch a Ghost Rider movie where he's Ghost Rider 20% of the movie. I want to watch a Ghost Rider series or movie in which he is always Ghost Rider. Yeah. And the problem is that costs fucking moolah.
Yeah,
like, that is too expensive.
It's a lot of money.
But we were just about to transition into another suit, and I don't remember what it was going to be. Oh well.
Yeah, I do.
All right, let's hear it.
One of my favorites of recent, Deadpool.
Deadpool.
The Deadpool suit, they got so much right. The fact that they did the little thingy in
the
back.
little thingy where, like, the suit kind of, like, bunches up in the back.
Yeah, it bunches up and it's like a funny shape. I love that.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah. The Deadpool suit is indicative of how successful the whole movie is. Like, all they had to do is just take a picture of the suit and go, like, that's what they did. They just, like, when they were marketing that movie, they're like, they took a picture of the suit and they're like, you can see we're not fucking this up. And we're like, yes. Yeah. And then we went and saw it and we're like, oh.
Yeah.
It was even more successful than we thought it was going to be.
Oh, no, absolutely. And, like, like, it's just, the creative team behind it respected the character. Yeah. And, like, they're like, here's the suit, and it's something you can put on. So much so that Ryan Reynolds stole it.
Yeah. It's true. That suit works, and it is indicative of the whole thing. Like, that's the thing. Like, when your suit works that well,
right?
And it's not like a CG bullshit thing like Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
The people involved give a crap.
Oh yeah.
Someone cares on a really, really, like, intimate level.
But I feel like that suit is like, I know they made the joke in the movie already, and they made the connection to Green Lantern, but it's like, they literally made this. It's real, it's tangible, you can take it with you, and it worked perfectly.
Yes, the fact that it is real makes it even more successful.
Yeah.
And it did that thing that I like where they blended CG with practical effects, where like the eyes move.
Yeah.
That is so successful. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like, this is the holy grail of superhero suits.
Yeah.
If it weren't for the fact that, like, over the last 10 years I've seen literally my comic book characters come to life.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like, if there were no other ones, you'd be like, what?
Yeah, if it weren't, especially the fact that, like, they can't seem to get most of the X-Men suits right.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know what the solution is.
I don't either.
For me, like, if you wanted to get Wolverine right, just put him in a flannel shirt and some torn denim. And give him a cowboy hat and a cigar, and you have a Wolverine suit.
Yeah.
Like, don't put him in leather or... And don't try and make the yellow work, because, like, I don't think that there's any world where a Jim Lee yellow Wolverine suit is going to work.
Yeah, like, there's a really sick part of me that wants to see it.
I want to see it. Like, I want to see, I want to see a CG dolled up, like, costume concept art,
right?
Of it, where they're like,
yeah.
we tried, look at this.
Yeah, or even like a behind the scenes where it's like, we made the suit and
Yeah.
you put it on one
and you
day.
put it on and you went, this is not going to work.
No, and then
but
they
it
took
looks
it
really
off.
cool.
I do want to see it though.
Yeah.
But not like, that's it, we're planting our flag here,
No.
because if it doesn't work, it's going to fail hard.
Yeah. You know what else was a really good suit that it was indicative of the fact that the movie might not suck?
Yeah.
Captain America's suit.
Yeah, and
it's so easy to make Cap look dumb.
Yes, it's funny is I know like people are sometimes on the fence about that.
Yeah.
About
I love the First Avenger, which I hate that title, but I love that suit. When the World War II suit. The one that they acknowledged was the superior one, so in Winter Soldier he steals it and puts it back on. Like, it is so successful. I love it so much. It's just a gritty, real world, yet still primary colored version of the thing you like.
Yeah.
And they made decisions that just that work better in movies that don't in comics. Like, his ears don't poke out
Yeah.
of the sides. If you ever want to see a Captain America movie in which they do have the ears come out, first of all, they have that great, like, cloth version of the suit in the musical number in the first Captain America suit.
Yes.
But they also have a whole Captain America movie from, like, 1990, I think, that stars J.D. Salinger,
God.
Catcher in the Rye fame. His son plays Captain America.
Yes.
And he has rubber ears that they attached to the cowl, and it looks like rubber ears are attached to the cowl. But they really make that work. I don't know, like, it's... Captain America suit, it can't be understated because it is so successful, and it could have gone wrong, and we saw it go wrong in Avengers.
Yeah.
Like, in Avengers, it works when he doesn't have the mask on for me. When the mask is off, I think it works better.
Really?
Yeah, I like... I don't know why, but, like, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has done a really good job of making masks not necessary. Like,
But that's so funny because you're so against that when it comes to like Spider-Man. You're like, it's got to have the mask.
Because Spider-Man needs to wear a mask because otherwise his aunt will be murdered by snipers. Like, you can't have that shit. With Iron Man, like, he's always out of the suit. Also, like, Robert Downey Jr. is just fucking engaging. I'm happy to watch.
Well, no, he is. He is definitely engaged. To be fair, though, you can't like you can't have a human being be in an Iron Man suit for like that long.
No, well, they don't, by the way. Like, most of it is just CG.
No, I know.
Like, they just have Robert Downey Jr.
But you know what I mean. Like,
But yes.
if that were real, it'd be like, okay,
Can I have an air conditioning unit in there? I don't know.
You can only do that for so long.
No, it's true.
They've got air conditioning units in the costumes in Disney too, but you're only do that for so long.
That's true. But they also can't fly.
Do you know that?
I mean, I don't know.
They got them Imagineers down there.
That's true. Speaking of flight, Thor works.
Thor does work.
Despite the fact that I don't think we've ever seen a comic book accurate Thor, and I don't think
No.
anyone really. I don't hear anybody bitching about it.
No.
Nobody's like, "Where's the big buttons?"
Yeah.
They gave him the cape. We're done. It worked.
Yeah.
It's armor and a cape.
I thought
I'm
he
happy.
does have some kind of larger buttons.
He does. They're implied. They're built
Yeah.
into the armor.
Yes.
But, like, we see the buttons, but they're not on the outside. Mm-hmm. And the fact that, like, he's only worn the helmet in one scene in the first movie for a coronation ceremony.
Yeah.
He's never gone out with that helmet again. And I don't know if it's because the helmet doesn't work on a, like, profound level, or whether they've just
Right.
never tried.
I don't know. You know what it is? Because the helmet, they're not going to CG that helmet. That
No,
he has to actually
he has
wear
to
that
wear
helmet.
it.
And I'm wondering if they're it obscures seeing. Chris
It
Hemsworth.
hides this beautiful man's face.
But also, can you imagine like, oh, okay, wait, like the helmet shifted. We got to take that again. We could,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I can imagine they started weighing the pros and cons. And they're like, No.
That's true.
Yeah. That comes down to, I mean, look, could you find a way to keep it on there? Sure. But you definitely open up to this whole realm of having to do
It sounds like a lot of work for not a lot of benefit.
Right.
Just for us to see it. Mm-hmm. That said, Thor works, not even just costume-wise, but, if you ever told me in 1992, hey, they're going to make Thor, and he's going to be really cool, I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
Thor is stupid.
You're a liar.
You're a liar. Yeah. You will like more Thor movies than Spider-Man movies. That's not true, by the way. I do still like more Spider-Man movies. But anyway, the fact is, all the Avengers have really worked. Ant-Man works.
Oh my god.
On an unexpected level.
Yes.
That's true, though. Somebody mentioned in Age of Ultron, I don't like Quicksilver or Scarlet Witch's suits at all.
I like Scarlet Witch's suit, but that comes down to a whole nother thing. I'm not a fan of the red and pink.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that at all in her actual costume. I just don't think those colors go together.
I heard that she almost got that headband.
That's
in the
fine.
New movie.
That's fine. And I had no problem with it.
Yeah.
At all.
I think it works because otherwise she'll look stupid. I've never been a huge proponent of the Scarlet Witch suit. I've never been why can't we get that?
Right.
But at the same time, I'm you need to do something. I don't know what it is. But giving her Alan Moore jewelry on her wrists is not
giving her at least that, I think that would help.
Yes. Well, because it implies a mask. It implies a costume.
It implies an homage to the actual suit without having to actually do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah. They could have done.
Yeah. And Quicksilver, I don't give a shit. I never liked the character, so I never really cared.
Okay.
So he shows up and he's oh! I'm okay, I don't care about you. You can look like whatever. You could have a horrible brown suit, but the fact that they made it black, blue, and white, I'm it looks good. Right. It looks fine. I don't like that actor, and I don't like to see him hanging around my girl. I don't like him at all.
I don't like your face.
I don't like his face, and I don't like him hanging around my girl. I don't like that actor, and I don't like Quicksilver as a character too much. So I'm whatever. You do whatever you want. Quicksilver, you can dress like fucking whatever. Batman, I don't care. Just do whatever. But that said,
right.
Marvel seems to give a crap.
Yeah.
Which is kind of amazing.
Right.
Even the Guardians of the Galaxies look great.
Yeah.
Star-Lord's mask is the mask.
He looks amazing.
Well, yeah. Because, Chris Pratt just looks amazing.
Oh, yeah. But, I meant this, the whole thing.
And it's funny because
the mask is perfect.
The mask is perfect. The rest of the suit is just made the fuck up.
Yeah.
Let's give him a red trench coat and whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just don't make him look... The fact is, most of us were thank God they didn't make him look like he does in the comics. Because I remember when they were announcing the new Guardians of the Galaxy series. Not the new one that Bendis and McNiven did in the beginning, but the next one.
Yeah.
And they put him in that blue, kind of almost Flash-esque suit. Mm-hmm. And I'm that sucks. And then the movie came out, and then they were hey, throw that shit away.
Right.
And I was oh, good, that worked out great.
Yeah.
But Star-Lord looks great. Groot is Groot.
Groot's Groot, yeah.
Rocket's a raccoon in a suit. It doesn't matter what you put him in. Gamora looks cool. Drax had that problem where they had to put shit on him. They couldn't just make him a green dude. They had to put shit on him.
I guess what it is. I guarantee what happens is with something like that in particular, with skin showing, is it doesn't look right.
No, if you just make them green.
Yeah, you're
you're just it's green, the end. And a bright one too. No.
Yeah, I have a feeling they put that on camera and they're ooh.
Yeah, they probably did do a test, or they did they put them in Photoshop and just make them green, do the thing that we'll do in CG. And they were oh my god.
They're we're gonna need to put something.
He looks like a mini Hulk. That's stupid. Yeah. Gamora, some people say Gamora looks better. I think she's fine.
I think you know what, look, Zoe Saldana did a great job, but I have a different idea of what Gamora looks like in my head.
Yeah.
So, I don't like to critique it because it's what I wanted, as opposed to what, if everyone else says it works or whatever, you know what I mean? That's just a personal preference.
That's true.
So.
It's funny, we've been talking a lot about Marvel, but, there are some suits that DC does successfully. What do you think of the Flash suit?
I really can't comment on it because I don't
I think it's fine. I think it could be better, but I think it's getting there in a nice way where we don't need to change it so drastically.
Here, the problem with the DC cinema stuff is the lack of color.
Yeah.
And I know
it's not red.
And I get it to some degree. I understand pulling it back a little bit because their costumes are so intense. For me, they're the most simple. No, I know they're simple, but like the coloration is intense. Like it's in your face. So I understand them wanting to pull it back a little bit, but I feel like they've pulled it back so far
that it's not even a superhero costume anymore. It's basically like a sci-fi costume.
Yeah.
Like I like it because I think they're celebrating it more. The one suit that I did like in DC TV was Supergirl's suit.
Oh, okay. Going to TV?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just talk about DC in general.
Okay.
Like just because I was talking about the Flash. I mean, the movie suit, I saw that concept art for the Flash for the movie. No.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks the most like a superhero suit, I guess. It looks better than Superman's, but but I'm still like, he's the one person who would like wearing a superhero costume. So I guess make him look like he's having a nice time. Try. I don't know. But the Flash in the show is successful. But that could be because, Grant's really, really likable and he's good and he cares about the character.
Right.
But I like the Supergirl suit.
No, I do too.
I mean, it
looks, it's pretty.
It's cute. Like
it's cute. It's pretty true.
Yeah, it's very true to like her origins.
Yeah.
The fun one. I like that like montage scene where she tries on all the different, like she wears the suit from like pre-crisis, and I'm like, wow, that doesn't work, but like it almost kind of does. Like it almost they were almost too good at their job. Where like that pre-crisis suit looked pretty good.
Right.
Like it looked like a real superhero costume. I miss the fact that it's like it's a perfect S. Like I'm so happy that they went with the original S crest, and by original I mean the one that I like.
Right.
That I don't care that it's like that there's no back. It's just an outline S where the back is the rest of her suit.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. The fact is, it's an original S. I don't care. They didn't try to do something with it.
Right.
Because like Superman and like Man of Steel, he's got all those fucking flakes and shit. He looks like Captain America. He's got like armor. He doesn't need armor.
I know, but it's meant to. It makes you think it can take it.
Well, you know what's funny? I knew that he could take it in 1970s when Christopher Reeve put on the best looking superhero costume ever.
Right, but I think
it's legitimately just the comic book.
I have a feeling in DC's defense, they are battling still the 1960s Batman.
They think they are, and the fact is, if you just stop thinking about it for a goddamn second, and just do something purely.
I know, but I still hear people mention recall
they
that.
always
You know
do.
what I mean?
Oh,
so I think
they
that
will
they're
never stop. They'll never stop making a bow piff bam.
Right, exactly. And you know what's funny is DC has been trying for much longer than Marvel has to do.
To do it right,
well,
to make the money off.
But even just to they've made more movies. Well, maybe not at this point, but they've
been making superhero movies for longer than Marvel.
Yes, that's exactly it. So when I'm going to bring up a couple of things that are negative.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's just because DC did them first, and they had no.
That's the funny thing is they had to fail first in order for everyone to get it right. They didn't have a great wellspring of examples of people who just tried and just failed.
Right, exactly. They were the example.
Yes.
But look, we could talk about bat nipples, we could talk about the whole nine.
The bat bud or anything like that.
But for me, the biggest problem I have with that movie in particular is the Mr. Freeze costume.
Oh, it was amazing. That was during a time when Mr. Freeze looked ridiculous in the animated series as well, but it works because the character is not treated like an asshole. Right,
but it's just chrome.
Oh, that suit is just I don't even know what it's supposed to be.
It's just
and he needs diamonds to power it.
It's just I don't know what it is.
It is flamboyant.
Yes.
It is like rock candy.
Yeah.
He looks stupid. And it's awful. And it's amazing because for DC they're like, "Well, show me a cool looking Mr. Freeze costume." And it was like, I can't. There aren't any. The animated series suit.
That was my favorite. I like that one a lot.
Beautiful because of its simplicity and its ability to call back to where it came from.
Yes.
The Mr. Freeze suit is silly. When I was a kid and I saw the Mr. Freeze suit in Heart of Ice, when he appears in Batman the Animated Series, I was like, that looks ridiculous.
No,
but then he speaks and he does things and I'm like, respect.
See, now I did not think that at all when I saw him in that episode. For me, I was like, this show is such a mixture of time periods that this works perfectly.
Yeah, it is so anachronistic. He is like a 50s sci-fi villain.
Yeah, and that totally works for me.
Yeah, but he's got those little loops around his arms. That match his gloves.
Yeah,
I miss that suit. I have a fondness for it. I love it.
Yes,
but I objectively think it's silly.
Okay,
I think it's non-transferable transferable, even in the comic book world.
Oh, no. And I don't think this is something you could do on camera.
No.
But that Mr. Freeze suit that was put on camera is... Nobody even tried.
No, it's representative of the balls that Tim and Deanie had, where they're like, "This is Mr. Freeze, the end."
No, I'm talking about the Arnold one.
Oh, that Arnold one?
They're like, no one...
That was like...
I don't know.
That might have been a Cooks in the Kitchen situation where it's like 16 people were like, "He looks like this," except it's so uniformly crappy. I feel like it's just one decision that was like, I don't care.
He's almost a Transformer.
Yeah. Yeah, he's almost as like ridiculously complicated and stupid as a Transformer is now. But it's garbage.
Yes.
It's garbage, and every villain looks like garbage except for the Joker. And I like the Catwoman suit from Batman Returns.
It's fine. That, like, I saw the animated series first, so, like, the gray suit with the black...
Oh, yeah.
That's what I had in my head for what she should look like.
But it's funny because that's almost what it is. Like, Catwoman from Batman Returns, if you just put her in a cartoon and then removed the black and replaced it with gray, it's basically the same suit.
No, it's not.
It is, because it's just a head to toe leotard.
It's a cat suit.
It's a cat suit, yeah. But she has a little belt to break up the color.
I'm not... Look,
because that's what you do with belts in superhero costumes. You need a belt or trunks to break up the color.
Here's the thing. I totally get it, but I don't know. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
I think the Halle Berry one is the worst.
That might be the worst superhero costume.
It's not even a superhero costume,
It's
really?
not. I remember when they announced it. I remember when they were like, "We're making a Catwoman movie." And I'm like, I remember when, after Batman Returns, they were seriously going to make a Michelle Pfeiffer, Tim Burton directed Catwoman movie. And that had been in development for a long time. Longer than was required for a Michelle Pfeiffer, Tim Burton Catwoman movie. And I was like, this sucks.
Okay.
No, I liked the Catwoman suit, but then I remember when they announced it, they're like, "Hey, we're doing a Catwoman movie." And I'm like the Tim Burton one? And then they were like, "Look at this suit." And I'm like, fuck you. You don't even care.
Yeah.
That is perfect representative of people who just don't give a shit. Like, and that's the problem with superhero movies and where we are now, because, like, I don't have a problem with where we are now, but it's a problem with, like, the evolution. With the process, where it's like, they went from a place of, like, let's put Shaquille O'Neal in some PVC, and I don't care, fuck it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you needed that in order for them to go, like, look at all this garbage.
Yes.
We gotta beat this in some way. We know it looks like crap. Let's just try something else. Like, let's just try to do the thing that people fucking asked us to do in the first place. Mm-hmm. Like, The Mask.
Technically a comic book movie.
The Mask is a comic book movie, and The Mask needed to be CG, and it is successful. He even wears the stupid yellow suit.
Yep.
And it works. And it's just, and you know what's funny? I think it's because it's an independent movie. Not an independent movie. It's an independent comic book.
Right.
They're like, fuck it, just do the thing. Like Dredd. Like Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
The suit is almost perfect.
But it looks ridiculous on screen. Yeah. Which I know is part of
It's almost like they had to flip it, where it's like they did the comic book, and they're like, here you go.
Yeah.
And it looked really stupid. But you know what's funny?
But it's supposed to be, right? It's a parody.
It's a parody. We're supposed to look really
dumb. But it's like the film didn't understand that.
I think the film didn't know what they were doing. With Judge Dredd with Sly Stallone, I think they were like, so it's like Demolition Man. Like, it's a stupid cop movie that's like kind of like a parody of cop movies. Mm-hmm. And I guess science fiction movies too. And it's like, no, Judge Dredd is an indictment of American, like, craziness, of like our gun-toting, like, Gestapo ways, like our European-viewed Copland-esque world.
Yeah.
And Dredd is exactly what that is. They get the tone right, they get the costume streamlined. They're like, let's make it work in the world that we're trying to actually portray.
Yeah.
And it's funny because they got the Dredd character right in the new movie.
Yes.
But they got the costume more right in the first movie.
Yeah, but again, that might be...
But Carl Urban dressed in that Sly Stallone costume would look really stupid.
It would look ridiculous.
It wouldn't work.
And I think that that's a decision made to get people to go see the movie and to also be like, we're not doing the other one.
Yes. Yeah, it's a way to show you. Like, they did it in such a way, though, that marketing for Dredd was awful. Don't call it Dredd 3D. Don't ever release your movie calling 3D.
That was not good.
By the way, the 3D looked great. I hate 3D, and I was like, that's cool.
Right. Yeah.
Because of the slow-mo, I was like, this is cool.
Yeah. I know we're wrapping up,
Yes.
but I do want to like mention one other Marvel costume that I dig. It's a villain costume. I like Loki's costume.
Loki's costume works so well. And occasionally he will bust out the helmet and it works really
I
well.
know, right? Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because I've already been trained from seeing cosplayers dress up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
But that was like...
It could just be his Tom Hiddleston is just like...
He's so charming.
He just owns it.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I got a helmet with stupid horns. Eat it. What are you going to do? Complain? No, I'm not. There's so many that we left out, but I love the Loki. We left out Hellboy.
We did
left
leave
out
out Hellboy.
and that whole world.
Yes, and there's
Men in Black, like so many other things.
Even Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles.
Like there's so many more that we could talk
but
about. We did talk about Rorschach.
Yes,
though.
but we will talk about those costumes. If you like this episode, in the future we'll do a sequel. We like to do sequels to the episodes that we've done because they're such large topics, but we try to make it at least a watchable length for you. It's only an hour, so you hang out with us for an hour. We chat a little about a topic you probably have some interest in, and maybe we'll revisit it for another hour sometime. But Tiffany, thank you so much for joining me today's episode of Elseworlds Exchange. It was great having you.
Kind of, I had you.
Yeah, actually, I was really more the guest.
Yeah.
Because I'm not supposed to even be here today. I guess we'll see you guys next time in another episode of Elseworlds Exchange, where I'll be back next week with Joel. We'll talk about something else, and we'll see you guys next time. So,
oh, wait a minute!
Oh, what?
We can't leave yet.
Oh, yeah, okay. What?
Because there was something I was going to talk about, and someone mentioned it.
Let's hear it, okay.
But if we don't talk about it now, we may not do the sequel before it happens.
Okay.
But Doctor Strange costume, I think they did it great.
It looks good.
I think, and they added textures to it, and they added layers.
And they gave him, like, belts for no reason.
But here's the thing. I'm okay with that, because as much as I love Doctor Strange, and I love everything about him, that costume with just the big billowy shirt, I'm like, you could improve that,
Yeah,
sir.
you don't need a billowy tunic.
No. No, you don't.
But you also don't need it to be what they've been cramming him in for the last 10 years.
That black suit?
That random black suit where he has no cape.
I don't like that one as much.
He needs a cape.
He needs the cape. Even in the new one, it's not a cape really, it's a big scarf and it's fine, whatever. At least he has that.
It becomes a cloak.
It does. And it is that, but he doesn't wear it necessarily like that because it's like more of a hipster thing.
I bet it will become a cloak. I bet it's alive and shit.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm reading it.
I'm just saying. Like, no, but I'm saying in the movie they're gonna be like he's gonna find out it's alive.
I'm talking about in the current run.
Oh, in the comics.
In the current comic.
Oh yeah, they've really changed it up.
They did, but in the movie, I like the fact that they're making the costume, the blue part of it, more like an Asian homage.
Yes.
Like, look, he's gonna go talk to the Ancient One. It isn't Tibet, and that's kind of what that reminds me of more so. And he's got the cloak. Look, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I love it, and I can't wait to see it in action.
Yeah.
And even though they toned down the colors, I'm kind of okay with that too.
Yeah.
Because like that blue, it's a little blue.
It's a little blue. It's a little too much.
Yeah.
Well, because Doctor Strange doesn't need to be like, I'm colorful. Like,
yeah.
He's got the huge splash of red. That's all you really need.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm so into it.
He makes a statement.
I definitely wanted to make sure that we talked about that before, because I was like, if we don't do a sequel,
what if we don't talk about Doctor Strange?
And then we can talk about it later on, whether or not I actually like it as much as I like it from the images I've seen.
Well, we've seen the Disney Infinity figure that they're never going to make that was literally just the costume.
I know.
For the movie. And it looks great.
Yes.
But anyway, let us know in the comments section down below, or if you're listening to this on iTunes or SoundCloud, leave a comment in some way there, letting us know what you think is the most successful or least successful superhero costume in movies.
Yes.
And we'll talk to you about it.
Totally.
So, thanks so much. There you go. That's
awesome.
Goodbye, everybody.
That's it. We're done.
That's it. Dude, shutting this baby down.
Yeah. Everyone can go home now.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.